Live feeds from Big Brother 27 have shown shifting conversations as house guests prepare for a pivotal Power of Veto competition. With Morgan holding the role of head of household, the veto's outcome will directly influence nominations and determine who advances closer to the final stages. Discussions among Morgan, Vince, Ava, and Ashley highlighted the uncertainty surrounding this week's decisions, as each house guest weighed potential outcomes and their impact on jury votes. The critical veto decision has created an atmosphere where alliances are tested, and the balance of power could change depending on who secures the win. Morgan emphasized her competition record while speaking with Vince, noting her reliance on victories for safety, mentioning that she had won 6 competitions in a row. Vince acknowledged this track record and described it as strong gameplay in Big Brother. Despite her wins, Morgan acknowledged the risks of her strategy. She stated, "The only thing that makes me nervous is Rachel said, 'You can't comp your way to the end.'" Vince urged Morgan to remain focused on the veto, asking her to lock in for the competition. Their conversation also touched on concerns about studying strategies, with Vince cautioning her not to practice with Ava or Ashley. Morgan explained her awareness of her position and Vince's reliance on her continued competition success to shape the upcoming nominations. Later, Vince and Ava spoke privately about how the veto might determine final placements. Ava expressed concern that both she and Ashley would end up on the block, and she added that if she won, the result would come down to choosing between the two of them. Vince described his distrust of Ashley, saying she often spreads information, and had already thrown him under the bus to Keanu twice within a short period. Ava also pointed out Ashley's expectations, noting that Ashley believed Morgan would likely win the veto and choose to keep her safe. They also addressed potential jury votes, with Vince acknowledging Ashley assumes she has votes in the jury locked in. If she thinks that Will would never vote for anyone else because he views her as a daughter, Rachel would pick her because they are besties. Ava suggested a strategy if Vince decided to keep her instead of Ashley. She explained that he could frame the move as an emotional decision, pointing out that it would be understandable since she needed the money. In another discussion, Ashley and Ava acknowledged the challenge of being aligned against Morgan and Vince. Ashley assessed the situation by saying, "Morgan and Vince will always pick each other. They can't expect us. Like, if I win the veto, he can't expect me to keep him, then I'm resigning myself to 3rd place." Both agreed on the importance of securing the veto to improve their chances in the final stage. Ashley pointed out that if either of them won, it would double their chances to compete for the final head of household. Ava raised the concern of what it would mean to finish in 3rd place, noting that the outcome could still be worse. However, the final Big Brother 27 Power of Veto competition has been played, and its winner will choose who will join them and head of household, HOH, Morgan Pope, in the final 3. Morgan won the second HOH competition of Week 11 after Keanu Soto was sent to the jury house in a special eviction orchestrated by the mastermind. With her HOH win, Morgan guaranteed a place for herself in the final 3, and then she, Vince Panaro, Ashley Hollis, and Ava Pearl battled it out in the final Power of Veto competition of the season. This veto is extremely important because not only does the winner secure their place in the final 3, but they decide who goes there with them. The Big Brother 27 live feeds revealed that Morgan won the final Power of Veto competition. This is her 5th Power of Veto win of the season. Morgan will now decide who'll be safe, and her conversation with Ashley after the live feeds returned indicated that it'll be Vince because she won't use the Power of Veto to save either of her nominees. Morgan was saying that Vince will decide if Ashley or Ava goes to the final 3 with them, which she didn't realize at first. This is because he'll cast the sole vote to evict. These comments made it seem that Morgan's mind is already made up and she'll be keeping Vince safe for sure. Ashley seems certain that Vince would pick her because he's never nominated her, but he put Ava on the chopping block several times. She expressed this to Morgan. If Morgan doesn't use the Power of Veto, Vince will have the choice of taking either Ashley or Ava to the final 3, which means that he'll pick who's best for his own game. Then, if he wins the final HOH competition, there's a good chance that he might not take Morgan to the final 2 with him, because he has a much better chance of the jury choosing him to win over Ashley or Ava than Morgan. He's also worried the jury thinks that he played Morgan's game. In addition, Ava and Ashley would probably choose Vince to go to the final 2 with them over Morgan, because they know that he's burned so many of the jury members, which could help them secure the win. Plus, Morgan has built a very impressive resume throughout the season. Therefore, Morgan has to win the final HOH competition in order to be sure that she makes it to the final 2 chairs. If she does, she should choose whoever stays between Ava and Ashley and send Vince home. It would be a power move that would impress the jury and would most likely guarantee her the win. When it comes to choosing between Ashley and Ava, Vince is going to have to weigh his options carefully. He has to consider not only who he can beat in competitions, but also who's more likely to be convinced to take him to the final 2 over Morgan, if it comes to that. Vince's decision will air live on Thursday night's Eviction episode, when either Ashley or Ava will most likely be joining the jury. However, they have a few days to convince Morgan to save one of them and send Vince home. Everyone is going to have to do some soul-searching to decide if staying loyal to an ally is more important to them than $750,000. Big Brother 27 is winding down, but the drama is ramping up in its final days. However, Big Brother Season 27 is inching closer to its long-awaited finale, which is set to premiere on September 28, 2025. The competition is now down to only 5 contestants, each vying to play their best game to outlast the others and take home the $750,000 cash prize. To make it this far in the contest, the house guests relied on alliances and personal connections. One such bond developed between Morgan and Vince as they worked together to target players who threatened to sabotage their gameplay. However, they failed to see eye to eye when Morgan asked Vince to target Lauren in the previous week. According to her, Lauren was a threat to her safety, but to Vince, she was harmless and his ally. Week 10, which saw a double eviction, witnessed the exits of Lauren and Kelly from the house. Although Vince had put Lauren on the block after Morgan pleaded with him to do so, it was during Morgan's special head of household reign that Lauren was sent packing. Recent Big Brother live feeds captured Morgan confiding in Vince that if Lauren were still in the house, she would have put her up on the block beside him. The disclosure shocked Vince because he saw Morgan as his number 1 in the house. Morgan, however, explained, "I needed to separate you two. It really would have made me feel like you wanted to have your cake and eat it too." During a private chat in the head of household HOH room, Morgan confessed that she dreaded the thought of having to put Vince on the block. "'Cause if Lauren stayed and I won HOH, I would have put you and Lauren next to each other," she stated. The revelation took Vince by surprise as he said, "Wow, what the F, considering the fact that they were each other's number 1s in the game. He had not expected Morgan to try to betray him." Seeing how shocked Vince was, Morgan explained her strategy, saying she needed to separate him from Lauren so that he would not be safeguarded from 2 ends, by 2 people who were each other's opponents. "You wanted to have your number 1 over here and your number 1 over here, and it was just like, hey girls, have at it, fight it up. I'm watching. And I was not okay with that," she said. The Big Brother cast member then described how hurt she was when Vince did not feel some type of way about Lauren, knowing that she would target her during her HOH. Vince argued that it did affect him, but Morgan remained unconvinced, implying that she expected a bigger reaction from him. She then recalled how Vince tried to console her with other strategies, which only added to her worries and disappointment. It didn't seem like there was much urgency, or much like, "What the fake? You're on the block. Like, I'm pissed. You were still hanging out with Lauren and you were still having a good time, and I'm just like, I literally felt on an island," Morgan added. The Big Brother houseguest confessed that it was the first time she felt alone and unsupported by her biggest ally in the house. Nonetheless, it was not enough for Morgan to end things with Vince, as she continued to work with him, ensuring that their spots in the competition remained consolidated. However, when the jury phase of Big Brother 27 began with less than a month left of the season, fans wondered how they were going to jettison so many players before the Sept 28 finale. First came the incredibly controversial elimination that shockingly sent Rachel Riley out of the house. Then came a more traditional double eviction night. But the eliminations keep coming fast and furious, as over the course of this next week, 2 more evictions will happen, leaving 3 house guests going into finale night, still with a shot at the $750,000 grand prize. Here's everything you need to know about this week on Big Brother 27, including head of household and veto winners, nominees, and who is likely to go. Due to the nature of the double eviction, Vince only spent a handful of hours not as head of household. He claimed back-to-back titles in a battle of endurance, officially tying the record for more HOH wins in a season with 4. Considering Vince was just HOH, he decided not to fix the formula when it came to his nominations. He once again put up Ava and Keanu, with the plan to use Ashley if the veto is used. While there was a very small chance that Vince would put Morgan up on the block, her winning her 4th veto of the season guarantees that doesn't happen. Immediately following the veto meeting, the house guest jumped into eviction. After surviving for so long with his back against the wall, Keanu was finally taken out in a 2-0 vote. Morgan continues her string of safe rounds. She wins her 2nd straight HOH competition and is the first person guaranteed to see finale night. While not necessarily a twist, the final full week of Big Brother 27 will see 2 evictions take place across it. Most likely the schedule will have the final 5 having a surprise eviction on Tuesday, the day after the veto meeting. Then, across Wednesday and Thursday, the final 4 HOH, nominations, veto, and eviction will play out. This is the first time the show has used that format since season 20, as the past 6 years have had dedicated weeks to the final 5 and final 4.